This is a real cooking show, guys. All right, let's do it.
Yeah, I'm doing it on one hand too. So.
All right, Joe, I'm muting you. Here we go. Okay, well, welcome everybody. So excited to be here. This is our dominating social media panel. And hopefully we have like 80 more people come and join in. Here we go, got some stragglers. But yeah, so why don't we start out with you guys introducing yourselves. Tell us who you are and why you think you're here. Let's start there. Yeah.
I'm Josh Jemias. I'm a co-owner of Jemias Creative. We work with a few companies here in Utah. Can everybody hear me on Zoom?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Are we good? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, so I'm Josh Jemias, co-owner of Jemias Creative. We work with a few companies here in Utah and some out of state, including the Gateway. We do social media and content marketing. And so I think that's why I'm here.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So I'm Stephen Kimball. I am the marketing director for the Fields team here at Keller Williams. And I've been here on the team for, since February, so a few months, and came over from the medical field. So this has all kind of been fun learning experience for me here, but I handle all the marketing for the team. And so gotten some good insights and ready to share all of that with you guys.
Sweet.
Hey, I'm Jennifer Jorgensen. I'm a solo agent, and I think I'm here because I'm more on the basic, like not numbers, but I do a lot of natural organic Facebook marketing, which probably most of my business comes from that. And so I will venture out into what they do, but this has generated enough for me for now. So
Yeah, talk about how much that's generated for you. Like, is there a percentage of your business that comes from just the organic community?
I am learning. I came to KW so I could learn to do numbers. I'm not a numbers, but I would say probably almost all of it is somehow related to what I post and what I do on Facebook. I don't do a whole bunch of ads, but I have a natural organic way of things that I do that reminds my SOI that I'm in real estate without being pushy.
That's awesome. And for those who don't know, this is Jen Jorgensen, who's one of our top solo agents in the brokerage. Jen, how many deals have you done so far this year? Tell us that. Just so we can okay, you don't know. Okay. How do you not know?
I told
30?
you I'm not a numbers person, but I think I'm at 35. I did
Awesome.
9 last month. I did 6 in June, and I will do 8 or 9 in August. So
awesome.
Those numbers I remember, but then I just work on stuff. So I'm working on that number part, but that's just not
sweet. Awesome. Okay, well, let's get into the meat of things. So we're going to talk about platforms for a second. The question is, what platforms are best for real estate agents and why? So give us your opinion on just platforms in particular. For those who don't know, a platform is like whether it's Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn, like what platform is best, and maybe not best, but what do you like to use?
I think Facebook and Instagram are definitely great starters. I also think it comes down to like who you're wanting to work with and which types of clients you have the most success with. Because one thing I realized too is like every real estate agent has a unique personality. And so depending on what your personality is and how you communicate to people, one platform may be a lot more effective for you if you could only choose one. So Jen, like you brought up Facebook, I think Facebook is a good way to show like your day-to-day. You could do Facebook Lives, talk about why someone would want to live in Utah Valley. Same thing can be done with Instagram as well. But I also think that Instagram gives you more opportunities to really customize your day-to-day experiences on Instagram stories with a lot of new features that came out. I think just in the last 2 weeks, they released 9 new fonts. And I don't know if you guys care about fonts, but you can find fonts that like actually match your personality now.
Oh, that's cool.
They even created their own feature that competes with TikTok. So there's different ways, and really I think a lot of it comes down to experimentation and what works best for you. If you're wanting to catch the tail end of the millennials and Gen Zs as they're starting to come out of college and land their first jobs, you might want to consider TikTok as well, because it's less noisy and it's also region locked. So you can still have some targeting to some degree, just within the state of Utah. So that's another platform to consider.
Cool. Interesting. Awesome. Stephen, what's your take?
I'd say as far as platforms, the best one to be on is going to be the one that you're going to use. And that's really, I think, all of what this probably all will boil down to is, are you actually going to get on there and use it? And there's definitely some benefit to like building up a profile and having your basic name, address, phone number on there just for SEO purposes. But if you're not actually going to be using the platform, it's not going to be benefiting you.
Yeah,
and
awesome.
So for our team, we are pretty heavily on Facebook, use a little bit of Instagram. And I mean, we have like LinkedIn profiles, YouTube, we're trying to build out a little bit more right now. And then another one that actually has been really helpful for me, not necessarily a social media platform, but I kind of toss it in that pile, is Google My Business posts. And all of those help with, if you're posting regularly, help with SEO. But for us specifically, Facebook has been probably the biggest for actually getting people engaging on it.
Awesome. Jen uses Facebook. That's the summary.
She's killing it on Facebook.
Yeah, talk about that.
I have an Instagram, but I forget to use it. So I'm trying to work on remembering to do that. So
Okay. Yeah, that's great.
I mean, honestly, if you have just one platform, if you're using it regularly, that's what's going to bring the value.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, it's a lot. There's so many platforms out there. I mean, we talked about a handful, but there's so many other options out there that, I mean, it's important to just choose what you're going to be good at and what you can commit to. And there's tools that you can use to make it easier, like with scheduling or different things, that you don't have to constantly be on there, but you have to make sure that you're setting that up and doing it regularly, or it's not going to bring any benefit.
Awesome. Perfect. Okay. What are some of the differences between the platforms and some of the pros and cons? Like, give us a little bit more in depth on the particular pros and cons of each one.
I touched a little bit on like some of the differences and like different features that you might have within each platform, but really, I mean, go ahead, Stephen. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Exactly what Stephen said though is like, if you're going to use it, then just put it to work for you. And I think some are great in terms of like finding and discovering other accounts to collaborate with, like Instagram. But in terms of like cons, when it comes to Facebook, Facebook makes it really hard as a brand to interact with personal accounts unless they're commenting on your posts or they're messaging you directly. So one way to combat that, and it's the direction that Facebook is going because people are so argumentative on Facebook, is maybe even creating your own Facebook groups and just really using Messenger. And so like staying connected with anyone that reaches out to you and always replying and commenting. And if you have like other people like that you can collaborate with, like any other brands or personalities that work, and I guess for lack of a better word, like synergy, like maybe create a group around that.
Yeah.
Like Utah lifestyle professionals or something like that. Make your own group, and you're more likely to stay on top of mind for the people that you want to reach.
Yeah,
So,
we'll get into a little bit more depth on this, but I've heard of certain agents creating groups for the area that they're farming or the area that they live in, so they can collaborate with their SOI directly through that group.
Yeah, exactly. I think so. Like the community I live in is the Exchange.
Yeah.
Some of you guys might be familiar with it, and the guy that runs the group is actually a real estate agent himself.
There you go. Perfect.
So yeah, he's always staying on top of mind. He's able to understand a lot of the problems that people are dealing with when they're moving in or out of the community as well.
Yeah,
so that's one example.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And not necessarily just creating groups yourselves, but you also can, as individual agents, go out and join other community groups. And that's a great way to just find people with maybe similar interests with you who, if you're engaging on those groups, would remember you as an agent if you're well branded when they visit your page.
Love that. Anything else you have to add? Okay. Okay, awesome. Well, let's dive into some of your strategies. What are some of your top strategies you use to market yourself or others? And let's go from there.
One thing I spend a lot of time doing, like, so I work with like different companies, like whether they're in the catering space or retail, e-commerce, personal injury attorneys, is understanding where your target audience hangs out and where they spend their time. Also like taking time to research like what types of language they use and their depth of knowledge. And so if you're like, hey, I'm using all these like buzzwords that are unique to real estate, like someone like me is not going to understand that. But if you bring it down and use it like real estate for dummies in a sense, I'm more likely to work with you.
Yeah.
Because I'm just not familiar with that. I mean, like Jen talked about numbers, like, yeah, if you start talking about interest rates, like 3 years ago, I had no idea what that was, but luckily I had a real estate agent that was really patient with me and would hop on the call with me for like 30 minutes just to break things down. So maybe take that same approach for your marketing on social media as well. It's just like, hey, here are the common questions that people have, and just create content around that. Like, what are the top problems people pay me to solve? And then think about all the questions that surround those problems. And that's your content for the whole week or a month or a quarter or a year.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, and I mean, different platforms are, like I guess we talked about this a little bit earlier, are going to be better for different things. Instagram's great for visuals. Facebook, I feel like, is a great platform for providing educational content and things to just sort of engage your users who are having those questions. And so that's one thing that our team does is we put out a blog, try and keep it around at least once a week, and then have other content about like local city guides that we're producing, or also we're sprinkling our listings in throughout there as well as those come up. And so if we have that content throughout, that's not just like we're selling houses. By the way, did you know we sell houses? We have houses for sale. That if you're just doing that, people will get really bored of you really fast. And so having variety is a really important touch there as well. And each of you will have your own unique voice, and that's really an important thing to let shine through there. And you don't want to get into, there's lots of little rabbit holes you can go down on social media, especially Facebook, where it gets a little more argumentative. You don't want to start going down and showing your voice of, I don't know, making fun of people wearing masks or something. Really bad idea right now. But showing your voice in other ways and being sort of a positive, uplifting force, especially now that people want to engage with, that people find value in engaging with, is going to be a great way to build your brand.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
not just focused around I sell houses.
Absolutely, yeah. We'll come back to that in just a minute. But Jen, give us your pitch.
I'm going to go along with that. So I do marketing for myself in two ways. I have my normal page, my personal page, and every once in a while I'll put something businessy on my personal page, or you share it from your business page. But I do like one time I was on my way to Twila. Have you ever seen that vasectomy ad in Twila? It's the best. It like has like the stick figures in the back of the van, and it has like mom, dad, kid, and it's like time for a vasectomy. So I took a picture of that one and posted that, because nobody's going to get mad at me for saying like, hey, I'm out showing homes and look what I saw, because it's reminding them that I'm in real estate, but it's not saying I'm a real estate agent, call me. So I sure do those kind of things on that page. And on my business page, I will put some of the same stuff, but that's where I run contests and videos. And I don't make professional videos. If I did that, I'd never have time to sell homes. So I do like random videos. I do short little clips. Like one time I was showing houses, and it was so rude. These little kids, I went to go get my mask because I forgot it. And these little kids, I was walking by and they said, look, there's an old lady. And I looked around and I was the only old lady. Like I was the only person in the street. So like they literally were talking about me. So I did a fun little video about like, wow, I just got taken today because these kids, and I told the story. So I can tell people that I'm showing houses in a way that they're going to engage with it because they don't care if we're showing houses. They don't care. They may not be buying a house, but I run contests, and some of the contests are great. Like I get some leads once in a while, but most of the time, like it's the same people over and over, and it cost me like $50 to run the contest, but we're closing today a lead that came and I didn't know where they came from. So I tried to refer it out, and then I found out she'd been watching my page for like 2 years and wanted how I sold houses. She wanted me to do it. So I just do like fun stuff that are real estate related, but not necessarily always real estate related, just like he said.
Now, you talked for just a second about about posting on your business page and sharing it on your personal page. Share a little bit more about that. What are your guys' takes on the differences between your personal and your business page?
So I normally try to do my personal page almost all just me. But if I do a listing, I won't post my listing on my personal. I'll share it from my business page to my personal page. Or if I have my contest, I'll share that over and tell them to jump on over, so that my personal page is really me. And of course, nothing like keep your politics out, keep all of that stuff out, even on your personal page, unless you want to alienate some people, go right ahead. But send them to my page. So
Send them to my page.
Yeah, just kidding. So did I answer that?
Yeah, no, that's good.
Okay.
Do you guys have any other thoughts on that before I move on?
I mean, so for the situation I'm in, with us being a larger team, some of the individual agents do have their own individual pages, and most of them have their own Facebook page as well. And so they'll share, so we encourage them to share our content on their pages as they feel they want to, or as they feel it pertains. But
yeah,
I definitely say that it is important for individual agents and teams to have a business page, because that's where you're going to get, essentially it works as a directory. So I don't know how familiar you are with SEO, but it's important to have directories that are valuable to your business. And so having that directory or somewhere where
tell us a little bit about directory.
Directory is going to be where your
listeners.
name, address, and phone number of your business are. So, the most popular one everyone thinks of is going to be Google Maps or something. When you look up, does your business show up in Google Maps when you type in the name of your business or type in real estate nearby, things like that. So it's important to have those directories. And if you strictly are running a personal Facebook page, then you don't have Facebook as a directory, and Facebook is a really strong directory.
Yeah.
And so that alone is a really great selling point as to why you should have a Facebook business page. But also I like that Jen talked about that mix of, you have your business posts that you're doing regularly that are about your business and things that you're doing within the community or wherever you want to talk about that's business related, but then you share those every once in a while to your personal page. It's a perfect way to set it up.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I've heard,
I would even say on my business page, it's not all like real estate and stats. So, and I don't know if I said that, maybe I did. Okay, then I already said.
Okay, yeah. No, that's good.
Like
that's
it
good.
needs to be fun. It needs to be engaging, because while we care about houses, most people don't. So put some things on there that are like tips for the fall or yard or whatever. Like you've got to come up with something that someone cares about, even if they're not ready to buy or sell.
Yeah. In my history of doing marketing, I've heard multiple like different rules, the 80-20 rule, the 3/4 rule, or whatever. And one of them is that that one of the best practices is to post on your personal page something about your family, something about spiritual, and then something about business, and then something fun or something like that. Like kind of divide it into fourths, where every 1/4 is your business. I'm doing that kind of concept. That makes sense. You guys have any thoughts on that? Maybe not too spiritual at the moment.
Yeah, that's kind of, generally the mix that we have. We don't follow a set rule all the time. Maybe we should more, but we do try and have like weekends. We'll be trying to post more fun things like, say 4th of July, for example, we were posting about where to go see fireworks around the area, or we've talked about like fun family hikes to do. It's just examples of things like that, sort of more fun blogs. Then we'll also do some that are like, what are market stats right now? What are predictions from experts in the field? And then also we'll talk about like, hey, this is a listing that we have. And so we try and keep that mix, and we'll put generally that mix throughout every week.
Awesome. Yeah. I think, no. Okay.
Well, Are you talking about like from a personal standpoint?
On a personal standpoint,
Okay,
yeah.
so on a personal standpoint, like I think the biggest thing is just being authentic. Like if you and I were gonna go out to lunch or breakfast or whatever, like what would we actually talk about?
Yeah.
And so like your actual in real life personality to try to match up with what your Facebook personal page would look like.
Okay. Awesome.
So yeah, that's what
Great. I love that. Okay, so what are some of the common mistakes you see? What are the do nots of social media? Start with you, Josh.
I think the biggest mistake really on social media marketing with any business, like whether it's real estate or whatever, is just not posting enough, not posting frequently enough.
Yeah.
And just worrying about what other people think.
Okay.
So yeah, consistency is key. One thing that Jen talked about that reminded me was like there's a business that we've had as a client for some time now, and what was interesting was the owner just pretty much stalked our Instagram account for about 4 months, and he's a family friend. I've known the guy, like his daughter and my wife are best friends.
Yeah.
Like I've been around him a bunch, he never talks to me, you know.
Yeah.
And then one day he's just like, hey, I've been following you on Instagram. And I'm like thinking like, okay, you've never once liked anything. You've never commented on anything.
Yeah.
But he's like, I've just been following everything you've been putting out for the last few months. Let's talk.
Yep.
Because I'm really upset with the person doing my marketing right now.
Yeah. Awesome.
And so it's that same approach, right? You're just sharing your knowledge, sharing how you solve problems, and just think of it that way. Like Jen said, like it doesn't have to be anything super special. Like just be yourself, and just talk about your day-to-day activities. Like, yeah, this is what I do in a house showing. This is what people can expect.
Yeah.
Here are my thoughts on like helping you. Like this is what makes me happy. This is what I do like on my way to meet with you, things like that.
Yeah, this is my favorite audiobook. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say, yeah, definitely would second that. Posting regularly is going to be the most important thing to do with social media. Posting regularly, posting valuable content. And then outside of that, I guess I touched on earlier, but just avoiding anything that's going to be blatantly confrontational, that's going to take away from the positive impact that you're trying to have as an agent.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's lots of things. It's important to follow popular trends, follow things like not like just as a best way to say it would be, yeah, follow things, be aware of popular trends and know what you're saying and think about what you're saying before you post it on there. And so that would probably be the second biggest thing, is just make sure you know what you're saying when you say it in different lights, so that you're continuing to have a positive impact and not sort of ostracizing people who would be valuable clients.
Yeah.
So when you say posting regularly, what does that mean?
For our team, we usually try and do about once a day, and that's pretty much, I mean, generally for maintenance is about what's recommended, and Josh probably will have better insights on that. But usually, depending on the platform, Facebook is around, once a day. Instagram, maybe a little bit more if you have good graphics or good visuals. And then others, I mean, if you go on Twitter, you're posting like constantly on there if you want to run Twitter, but that's a lot of work to do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd say as a general rule, probably about once a day.
Okay. Anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think it's like frequently, but also like what you can sustain. And like Steven touched on using social media marketing tools, scheduling tools. I think if you're only on Facebook and Instagram, I would definitely look into Facebook Creator Studio. It's free to use. It's pretty easy to use. Gives you a lot of analytics. You can plan out your content. So say if you're like, man, I got all this stuff going on this week and I literally have 1 hour to commit to social media marketing, use that 1 hour and just schedule out your posts for the rest of the week. It's super easy to do. And then as you're just going through your day-to-day, use the stories function and just document what you're doing. So there's ways to manage that time. So if you're like, okay, I only have the mental creative bandwidth to post 3 times a week, just be honest with yourself and do that. Like, don't try to burn yourself to the ground and be exhausted. So, yeah.
Since my appetite's not bad, maybe I need to go down more often. But it's depressing.
So Yeah, so if 3 times a week is what's sustainable for you, then great. If you're doing that for a couple months and you're like, okay, I could definitely do more, then do more.
Yeah, definitely use that scheduling tool, Creator Studio, if you don't want to get burnt out.
Do not say, I'm a realtor, please call me. That is so annoying. Like, don't do that. Like over and over and over, I have someone that does that. And I am a realtor, so I obviously don't care, but like get them to want to see your post. Get them to want to engage and do something, and don't do the stuff that you wouldn't like. Like, you're not going to want somebody who is selling insurance to post over and over that they need to call you. So figure out what you would want to see and what content you would want to see and post that. That relates to your business. Okay, this is my favorite part because there's no like schooling or knowledge or stats for this one. So this one is like, just be yourself, like do videos. Like, so if you ever were to go see my videos, they're just random, one take, mistakes and everything. You know, I'll do videos of, okay, so being social. This is so much. I have so much. Okay, this is my favorite part. All right, so yeah, you should. No. Okay, so I run my page trying to get people to want to be there. So I know that there's houses, and so I'll video at open houses. And if you don't have open houses, go to someone's listing and do a video and show the house. Okay, on one of those in like Roy, I don't know, I got like 3,000 views by the time I even made it home. I don't know how that happened. That's my problem. I don't know the stats behind it. So that's one of them. And be social. Like I'll do, I do a best Christmas ever. We do a fundraiser for a person. And so I am able to post for like 2 months about the family that we're doing and the party that we're planning and the businesses that we're having involved and the firefighters who are involved. And so I'm getting everyone, and I'm being able to post like all this stuff. And guess what? If I'm doing that, I can post to the communities because they don't care if I'm doing something like that. So I can post as a realtor on like the Spanish Fort community page or my neighborhood page that we are doing a fundraiser for this and we're having a party. So I've created like different ways each time during different seasons to post other stuff that reminds everyone I'm a real estate agent. So like for the solo club, if you're a solo agent, we're doing a scavenger hunt. That is going to give us the ability for 3 weeks straight to post about something that is benefiting them. So whatever I do in my social stuff, I try to benefit them. So it's creating different rules of engagement. I post funny stuff, like, well, I think it's funny, so maybe it's not funny to them, but you know, like today I went to open my car and I had like 6 masks sitting on my car. I had my printout for the showings on my seat, and I had some buyer packets. So I took a picture and I'm like, wow, my supplies for showings have really changed, you know, because I have leopard masks and I have black and white masks, and you know, so like
Gotta match the outfit.
Yeah, it's just a reminder. My one today actually does match, but but it's just a reminder that you can do without being too bold. And you know, we've done contests and we've done different stuff, so that I'm probably rambling, but I just show who I am and I ramble. So ask questions. Anytime you post, ask a question. So hopefully you might get some engagement. So if you ask weird questions or what their dreams are or what this is, or like I'm trying to come up with a logo because I've never had one. So we had 4, you know, now everybody's posting, but I didn't have to say, come buy a house with me. They're all like trying to help me figure out my logo. So I come up with weird different ways to do that.
Yeah, love it. Yeah.
Question?
Oh. So the question, sorry.
Yeah, so what are we doing to respond? That's your question? Or is that? Yeah, so first of all, I hope you all were taking notes when Jen was talking, because that was like tons of really awesome ideas that just got shoved into an awesome little monologue there. But no, really, really good ideas there. But yeah, that was the point that I was wanting to touch on. What was your name? Graydon, yeah. What do we do once we get the people engaging is we want to respond to them. And that's probably almost equally as important as having your posts out there. Every single post that we post on, well, pretty much everyone, if we do it right, gets some comments on it. And so like for contests that we run, we have like, we're running one right now that's like, drop your favorite meme about going back to school. And so throughout that, I mean, tons of funny stuff to look at. And so we comment on those posts, or any posts that we have. If people have questions, a lot of times when we post a listing, there'll be questions that come in about certain aspects of the listing. And so we'll try and post there and just keep engaging those people in either on the direct comment within the feed of the post, or push them over to a Facebook messaging type setting where it's going to be just a direct message, so we can get a little more detail from them and connect with them.
Yeah, on that note, I'm thinking through as you're talking about that, how many times I've posted and people have commented where I haven't commented back, which is like probably most of my posts. I just like that they commented, you know, instead of having a conversation and having a dialogue to make them remember that I'm a real person and let's talk about life, you know?
No, it is hard to do. I mean, in fact, we have someone else on the team that actually helps out with that, just because, I mean, it like posts come in or comments come in 24/7. And so it's important just to have someone specifically monitoring that aspect. But that's sort of what makes social media the social part, right? Is the back and forth, and not just we're spewing content and you can grab it and do something and gain value from it. But a lot more value is going to come if you comment and we respond to your comment.
Yeah, I love that. Josh.
Yeah, the value of responding to comments and reviews and messages are really underrated. I think it's something like 90% of negative reviews could have been completely avoided if you responded to all your comments and messages. Because at the end of the day, people just want to be heard. I think that's why there's a lot of arguing on social media, is people just have these opinions and they don't know where to share them. And so you can keep people happy by just responding to all of that. And like I said, like the last thing you want to do is feel overwhelmed with everything that you have to do as a real estate agent. There's a lot going on. I do not envy how much paperwork is involved in a single real estate deal. I can't imagine going through all of that.
Yeah.
But if you need to, just set aside like, hey, I'm going to set aside like 10 minutes every day. I have an alarm in my phone, and I'm just going to go through and respond through comments and messages and reviews. And definitely respond to your positive reviews as well, because it reminds people of the good feelings they had when they dealt with you. So just keep touching on that. And once, if you're like, okay, I am always caught up on my comments and messages and reviews, what else can you do, right? Like I'm giving myself an A+. I'm awesome at responding. Go through those groups that we talked about. One of the best things I've seen, I don't know if you guys have heard of the Facebook group Connect Utah. It has like over 13 to 15,000 members. I would go check it out. There's people on there all the time looking for housing and real estate agents to work with and lenders. And one of the biggest values I've seen like real estate agents do is just simply going through and just answering questions that people have. Not even saying like, hey, call me, I can sell you this home or whatever, or help you buy this or whatever. Just like someone has like, hey, I have this XYZ credit score. What are my options? Or what's the difference between a USDA loan and a FHA loan? I don't know those, but you guys do.
Yeah.
So just, and you're not going to be spammy. You're not going to be trolling them, because you're just helping them find answers to their questions.
Yeah. I love that.
And you just leave it at that.
Perfect.
They're like, who is this wonderful angel that just dropped a dime?
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yep. Love it.
And then if you have your profile built out, then when they see those valuable comments, they'll be able to click and go to you.
Yep.
And so, I mean, you don't have to worry about always, like Josh said, always branding yourself and promoting yourself in every single comment.
Okay, so when you go to Connect Utah, I'm on there as my business page. So don't go on, I mean, I go on as my business page, and like, even if I need something, I'm also now saying, like, because it shows up as Utah Realtor Jennifer Jorgensen. So even that happens. And then as far as answering, like on my business page, I do have people that will comment. I mean, there's now people that comment enough that I know them because of my business page, even though we've never met. So I have one who's looking for a property. I don't know how long she's been on there, but we'll comment back and forth once in a while. you know, I'll get a message once in a while. I always answer. Some of them are just weirdos. So that's just how it works. But yes. No, like this is just generating.
Question was if you have a
Yeah,
bad
you
broker.
know, she'll ask me questions about land. She got set up on a hot sheet. I don't know how long she's been on my page. That's the thing. Like we're just nurturing information, and they're getting to know you from your page. If your page is personal enough, they get to know you. So you can post other things that you do that you may have an interest in, and they may have the same interest, and you're going to connect with someone who at some point will be ready.
And the other point of that as well, your buyer broker question, is that if people are asking a question, remember that they're not the only ones that are going to see your response. So when you respond, right, then your whole community is going to see you responding and answering questions and being helpful. And so it's just, you're just giving back to the world, and they're witnessing that.
Yeah, and there's some things like,
Leandro?
Sorry. So this is, how'd you know? So this is on your business page that you're posting and asking, or posting even like showing who you are yourself.
yeah, I'll make it a little bit business related on my business page for sure. But I may, like, I'll do maybe my contests, or I will do some information about me, and I'll relate it a little bit so that that has some business or housing information. But they want to get to know you. They want to know who you are. And the only way they're going to know who you are, if they don't already, is by video or by showing your interest. And so, so yes, and there's some things where they'll all, like, I have a company that posts really cool house pictures, because you know you can't just steal pictures off the MLS and post it on Facebook, right? So I paid someone who does a real estate pictures every once in a while, and it'll be like, what do you think about this bedroom? And people will be like, oh, it's too dark for me. So I can comment on those. And sometimes there's an engagement and a conversation that happens, like, or they may say something like, I hate this color. And I'll be like, well, what colors do you like? So that you start becoming a person, not just a page.
Yeah, I love that. Perfect. Well, let's end with maybe two more questions. Let's see, what time is it? 1:43. Oh,
Could you give examples of the types of questions you do post, or the types of things you do post on your business page?
Yeah, I do. Okay, questions. I'll do like, so I do, okay, first of all, I do videos on listings. I do contests on all my listings. I do, sometimes I do I Spy in a listing for fun, and they have to email me when they find this ugly frog that's sitting in the listing. I do pictures of sometimes with showings. Like I did one where I was at a showing, had my mask, and I was talking about the market. So that one was about the market, but it's a video. So they get to know who I am. I'll do, when I did my Mother's Day contest. So I had a video of me at my house explaining the contest. So it was in words, but it was also there. They get to know me. I'll do questions like, if you had to pick, like, what would your dream house have in it? Now that you've been in quarantine, what would you prefer in your house? I mean, that got a lot of responses because everyone was sick of being home, right? So just all random and very different. What am I missing? So did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
perfect. Okay, well, we're gonna do one more question, then we'll jump to Q&A, just for any of those who have extra questions. And my last question is, from everything now that you've been thinking about what you do and stuff, what's your one piece of advice that you would leave with this group of, like, this is the one thing?
Post consistently.
Okay.
Because if you just so happen to be the numbers person and you like data and you like analyzing the stats, you're going to have data to work with. I think for a lot of, if you weren't doing anything consistently prior to you being like, okay, I'm finally going to move forward with my social media marketing, it usually takes at least 3 months for you to have any actionable data to work with. Because you're not going to figure out like which types of posts work best for your business and your target audience. And so just be consistent, test out ideas, and give yourself some time, be patient. Because it's like, this is probably one of the most abused analogies of just working out, right? If you weren't working out and then you're like, okay, I'm going to deadlift 300 pounds tomorrow, but you haven't lifted a single thing for the last 3 months, you're not going to be there. You'll probably herniate a disc or something. And the same thing could happen with your social media. You could just give up. You're like, oh, it doesn't work, but really you only tried hard for a week. So just be consistent, forgive yourself, and be consistent.
Perfect.
I'd say be yourself. Like you're creating your brand, and many of you probably are starting out. I didn't catch how far along any of you are in real estate, but it's you want to set up your brand and be who you are on social media, on your personal page and on your business page, and let that shine through. Jen's a great example of doing that. And so, I mean, if you're trying to be something else, if you're trying to be this like completely different mold, you're going to attract people who are attracted to that type of mold, and you might not enjoy working with them when you're attracting all these people who are totally not your style of person. And so, I mean, you have the ability to have discretion as to who you're working with. So you want to attract people who resonate with you so that you can have positive experiences.
Love that.
And so, yeah, just generally be yourself and be positive. Create opportunities for people to engage and feel improved by visiting your site.
Awesome. Jen?
I would say show who you are, show your personality, create content that is fun and engaging and creative.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, we're opening up to the audience. What questions do you have? Make sure you give me a second to repeat the question if you're not on Zoom. You guys have any questions? Yes, Hunter. Hunter, oh, sorry. So the question is there any rules or parameters on Facebook that people, or social media in general, people should know about in regards to real estate?
So I don't know all of them, but I do know you cannot even post your own MLS pictures after they were sold. Like you can't necessarily keep those online after. So I learned that a long time ago. Okay, I've only been in for 6 years. So I've been running my page for 6 years. Okay. So I know that you can't do that. And what was the other part? I had another answer. Now I can't remember.
I've got one if you want to think for a second.
Yeah, I forgot.
Do you have a rule? I know that one of the rules is that your logo, your brokerage has to be within 1 click. And by that, I mean, if you are on a landing page, if you are just anywhere you are online, they have to know where you're from, what brokerage you're from within 1 click. That makes sense. So if you run an ad, they have to be able to click on that ad and see your logo, or it has to be on the ad. So on and so forth.
That's just probably generally good practice anyway if you're wanting to build up your brand.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably shouldn't talk too much to it. I'm not actually a licensed real estate agent, so don't want to lead people astray.
You can share stuff. So if you see something that you like that's made by somebody else, don't copy it, share it. That way you're giving them the credit.
Yep.
You probably don't want to direct them away from your page, but sometimes there's like tips for whatever, or things to do in Utah that I need them to see the article because I'm trying to share that stuff. Don't like copy it and put it on your page. Share that link.
Yeah. Also, copy is not necessarily like copyrighted. When someone posts on social media, I think, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's more of like unethical than it is like illegal to just copy and paste it onto yours. If anything, just change a couple things, like change a little bit of wording, make it more of your voice, or just give credit at the end of it. Like, hey, I saw this person posted it, like the last sentence or something. Credit given to whatever for an awesome post. I don't know. Right.
And there's lots of rules when you do ads that Facebook has about like requiring tagging or sharing or stuff like you can't do. So but you'd have to go through Facebook and figure all that out. So it changes all the time.
Yeah. Any other questions? We got one right here. Lorraine.
I was putting some videos on Facebook the other day, and it had music on it, and it came up with this big thing, and it said, "We don't allow music on our on the main
That's
page."
a copyright issue.
So, but I found on our Red Solo team, there's a thing on the left-hand side, and it says videos. Put them all right in there. But I don't know what to do on my own Facebook.
So I once came across that, and it had a thing that said if you weren't using it to like, there was a section you could click that you're saying you're not using it to copyright, but you're just putting it on the like video.
Yeah, there's a difference between trying to make monetary value off of it and just using it to post. I think if you're not making monetary value off of it, like it's not an ad that's running or something like that, then it's probably fine. And I think that's what Facebook is trying to. I think if you post it on your business page, it might be a little bit trickier. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I don't know that had that come up, but there might be an option.
Do you have any thoughts on this?
Oh, go ahead. You run more ads than me. It sounds like.
I've actually never run into issues with copyright in music. We honestly don't use a lot of music in our videos though. So
yeah, so whenever I
Probably
post one of these training videos on Facebook, it always flags me because I play music at the beginning. But it doesn't delete or not allow me to post it. It just flags it as something that can no longer make monetary value, basically. Does that make sense? So I think monetary value plays a big part of this.
So like you couldn't run it as an ad, like a paid ad?
I don't think that you would be able to run it as a paid ad because it's somebody else has ownership unless you got the rights to use that song in particular or whatever it might be.
So there's actually a lot of like if you're still wanting to use music moving forward, YouTube actually has its own library of stock music.
Yeah.
Of like a wide variety of genres that you can use and download, and it's like it's pretty impressive as to like the range of music that they have. It could be just as simple as like slow beats or like a rock and roll beat or just a little like stock music. I would look that up.
Creator Studio actually has them as well.
Yeah, Creator Studio. I mean iMovie even has it, right? Like most of these creation studios will give you stock stuff. So you can also just look up like stock images or stock music or whatever just on Google, and they'll give you what's the word? Copyright free, not not unlicensed. It's like royalty free.
That's what
Royalty free images or music or whatever it might be. Okay, one more question, then we're going to Graydon. We're bringing you a mic.
So you mentioned iMovie, and is there such a thing for Androids?
Such a thing for Androids?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you guys
Any of
know
you
better.
guys-
QuickTime. The hard thing with Android is that every Android is different.
I've got a Google phone, so.
And so, yeah, Google probably has their own creator video.
Yeah, I'll just
creator.
search in Play Store to see what free apps there are. I mean, I know there's like Adobe has their suite, and that's what I use, but that's gonna
Premiere.
be a lot more involved. There is a lighter version. Was it Premiere Lite or
I don't know, something.
I forget what the lighter version is, but that one I think is pretty cheaper to use as well.
Yeah. Graydon, what's your question?
You mentioned something about posting consistently. So let's say we commit to over the next few months posting consistently. I'm sure that our friends will see every other day there's a pattern. Some people are liking the stuff, right? So that a simple post, you can find out who sees it if they like it. And you're doing stories. Stories will show you which person has actually viewed it, even without liking it. But so that to me is data, right? And you're kind of finding out who's watching your stuff and liking it. What would you do with that data? What type of data are you talking about, and how could it help you?
One thing I would look at is like, are you attracting new eyeballs, or is it the same 10 people checking out your stories every time? And so there's ways that you can get more people checking out your stories, like using the features within Instagram stories. Have you played around with like adding hashtags to your stories? Facebook? Okay. So ways to like get more eyeballs in front of it is like you could also like tag other accounts or collaborate with other people within your space. So you're a real estate agent? Yeah. Okay. So yeah, if you have any other people that
Like a vendor.
yeah, a vendor that you work with, like maybe someone that stages, yeah, preferred lender, I would get them on like Facebook Lives and just talk for 5 minutes about what they do and how they help you. Or like, hey, if I can't help you, here's someone else that can help you with what you're doing.
And then tag them, right? And you just tag them in that post, and then all of their friends and all of their SOI get to see that as well.
Yeah. And then use that to, I mean, just like what Jen was saying, like if you want to run a giveaway or something, like that's a good way to gain it, because really at the end of the day, what you want are emails. So if you can get more emails, like find ways to get people to run emails. And there's a bunch of different things that you can use to run those contests and get people to give their emails. So that's ways that you can go beyond just posting 3 times a week or posting every day. Does that help?
Oh, yeah. But as far as data.
Yeah. So okay. So in terms of data, like, are you familiar with the insights section of your Facebook business page? Okay, so if you go to your Facebook business page, there's a tab up above, and it's like your Facebook Insights, or you can just look up your Facebook Analytics. And one of the things that you can look at is like the demographics of who's checking out your page, like the ages, like how old they are, what times of day they're going on your page. So if you've been posting like every day at like 9 a.m., but your data is saying that you'll get like more people check out your page at noon, then start posting closer to noon. So making those little adjustments based on the data that you get.
Yeah, one practical example for that is, so we had back last month and a little bit the month before, we had a handful of our listings that went live on like a Thursday or a Friday. And we were looking and we started noticing that the amount of engagement that we got on those, even if we were Boost GM, was a little bit lower than what we had seen with other listings. And so I was able to go in and look at the post data when I posted it, and then look in that Insights tab, so on Facebook, and see what days people were on more. And I found that on Wednesdays, like for the last period of time, we had significantly more people were viewing our posts than on later on in the week. And so we tried after that moving some of our, like planning our listings going live around when hot times were on social media. And so, I mean, that's when, I mean, going live in a time frame where we could post within the hotter times, we found brought a lot more just organic engagement with those listing posts.
Yeah, that's awesome. Any other questions between here and those on Zoom? Zoom, what you got? All right. Okay, well, let's give a hand to our panelists. Thanks for coming, guys. Shut up, Saab. Shut up.